Okay, so today we're going to look at My Last Duchess, which is on page 12 in your anthologies. Now, this is a difficult poem and it's quite a long poem, but it's okay because it's very interesting. It's one of my favourites, and I am going to hold your hand throughout this process a little bit more than normal because of the archaic language and ideas within it. So as normal, on page 12 of your anthology, create a mind map or bullet pointed list of any connotations or associations linking to the poem's title and use the questions to guide your thinking. So pause this video to complete this task. Okay, so my is a possessive pronoun showing maybe ownership or control here. Last, adjective last, usually relates to last or late. Duchess would be the previous one, so suggesting there's going to be more. Maybe something has happened to the last one. And Duchess is a noun, and it shows status as well. Looking at when the poem was written, Last Duchess, it's not necessarily going to be divorce that splits these two up. So maybe thinking about death. Okay, I advise you to use the links when looking at this poem because it's going to be difficult to read by yourselves. So I'd like you to click on the link in the description and watch the reading of this poem, and then write a brief summary of what you believe the poem is about. Pay particular attention to the reader's facial expressions. They show some of the feelings of the speaker within the poem. Look particularly for more of his displays of anger or loss of control. So pause the video to complete this task. Okay, so hopefully you've realised the poem is about this last Duchess and it's all around a painting and is describing their relationship. Now this painting of this woman is on his wall. Now he's quite he thinks a lot of himself, he's quite powerful. That's why I popped it in a gold frame here. But she's also behind curtains, and these curtains only he can open or close. So he has full control over what she sees or over who sees her. Here are 6 lines from the poem, and I'd like you to write in 140 characters how you think the Duke is feeling. I've pulled these out to give you a little bit of a hand because the poem is very long, so you can have a little look at these particular words and see if there's any repetition as well. They are in order if you follow the arrows. So pause this video and complete this task. Okay, I've given you another link with the second reading of the poem. I'd like you to watch this one as well. And in this one, there are 2 people within the video, still one speaker. But I want you to see if you can figure out who this speaker is addressing within the poem, who he's talking to. And there's some images on here for you. So you've got the Duchess behind the curtains again, but you've got a white mule here. So that's a cross between a donkey and a horse. But the fact that it's white might represent innocence. It's a little horse. Horses need breaking in as well. So thinking about the way he's approached his relationship with his possibly young Duchess. You've got the idea of her having a blush on her cheek and the cherry lips. And you've also got this idea of a curtsy. There's curtsying mentioned at one point, so this women bowing. I've also popped a statue of Neptune on there because this represents, and you've got that next to the picture on the wall representing his art collection and maybe what she sort of becomes within the poem. So pause this video, click on the link and see if you can figure out who he's talking to and if your summary changes at all. Okay, what is it all about? I've tried to write out what it's about in as easier language as I can for you, and I've used some of the quotations from before that you've already looked at, so hopefully you'll understand what's going on within this poem now. So pause this video, read through this page and make any notes. Context is also incredibly important within this poem, so not only have you got to understand difficult ideas that are going on, you also need to understand the context. But once you get this, you'll find it so much more easy to talk about this poem. So the context: Robert Browning is not the speaker. He is pretending to be a duke. Robert Browning is actually married to Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and she wrote, if you remember, Sonnet 43, and she loves him. He is a good man, we infer, because he saved her from her tyrannical father. So he is a good man, but he's pretending to be bad men, or um, more psychopathic men, or looking at different psychology. So he's pretending to be a historical duke, a real life duke whose wife died under mysterious circumstances. And he enjoyed exploring these ideas. He's talking to a Victorian reader, so you've got some element of patriarchal society there, but he's talking about a family that were alive in 1561. So you're talking more Shakespearean times, and you know about the patriarchal society then. So think about the portrayal of women within this. Pause this video and make any notes on this. Moving on to analysis, I want you to start annotating your poem, and I'm giving you some terminology here and some of the form, structure and sound within the poem to give you a bit of a hand. So pause the video and read through the information here and annotate your poem. Okay, on the next couple of slides, I'm going to show you a fully annotated poem. I want you to pause each slide and annotate your poem, but only write down the information you understand, or try and put it into your own words to show even better understanding of it. You will not need all of the annotation. There is a lot here. It is a long poem. You need a little bit on language and a little bit on structure, and you need to know what the poet's message is. So don't panic too much about the amount of annotation. Just get down what you do understand. If you want to challenge yourself and try to annotate the poem before I show you these slides, pause the video here to complete that. If not, I'm going to go through now. I'll be in silence. Just pause each one and write down the relevant information. Okay, as always, I'm giving you extra websites to look at to help you check your understanding. I know some of you enjoy this first link, so in the description again, it's up there. So using that Genius website, go through the poem. I've also given you another link to another website. I think you call it Schmoop, and it sort of talks about the poem in a conversational tone, and you might quite enjoy the way it talks about it. I like the way this website talks about poems, so it informs my teaching, so it could inform your learning. So comparison, if you've got your head around all of that, we'll try and compare it to another poem. So if you were to compare certain elements of the poem with other poems already explored, which poems would you choose and why? You've got death and obsession. So pause the video to complete this task. Okay, thinking about death, some of the other poems that might have looked at death, you might go for the death in a relationship, because this one has a relationship between a man and a woman here, and you've got the idea of in one flesh there is death of intimacy within a relationship, but they're stuck together. Whereas in this one, he murders her, or we infer he murders her. You might look at neutral tones again, that is another end or death of a relationship. But you might want to look at actual death, and that might be my father would not show us. And within this one, although the relationship is different, there is some element of control, understanding. Might be a bit difficult to compare, a bit more challenging. Or there's a child to his sick grandfather, sorry. Again, about death, but quite loving this poem is, whereas My Last Duchess is not loving. The other theme here is obsession. This one might be a little bit easier. So obsession, being obsessed with somebody. The Belle Dame Sans Merci, we see an almost obsessive knight when he's talking about the fair lady, the fair woman, the fairy. She walks in beauty could be obsession as he lusts after his cousin's wife. Or Sonnet 43, we see an obsessive love that goes after death. But this one's quite positive, so that'd be interesting to compare because you've got positive against negative. Final thought. Which theme do you believe is the most important within My Last Duchess? And email me your response. If you find this a little bit difficult, maybe just email me with your opinion of the poem, or ask me a question about it if you're a little bit lost on this one. Hopefully you've understood some of the ideas represented here though. Good luck, and I look forward to hearing from you.